Welcome back. The program is Cheche live on Citizen TV and Hot 96 FM. Two strikes now, and there have been a spate of them over the last few months. The latest by the Kenya Airports Authority. Management's response was to sack workers who failed to return to work this week. We have our guest panelists, David Makali, Njoya, as well as the Reverend Timothy Njoya. And before the break, we were discussing the International Criminal Court, the situation of IDPs, and the question Mutegi put to you was whether reconciliation can occur, because of course that's one of the questions that's been put to you by our viewers. But there's a wider issue of reconciliation, not just within politics, but also within the workspace, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's impossible to have reconciliation by the people who fought, because they are reconciling themselves, Ruto, Uhuru, and others, while the IDP are in their camp. If there was to be a reconciliation, the IDP would go back to where they came from, into their own land, into their own homes. But now we are talking, and that's why the ICC is very important. Because even if Kenya's dictator were to reconcile, it will not affect the people living under poverty in the IDP camps and in the tents. It is them reconciling to consolidate their power and to consolidate their property and to protect and entrench their property forever and ever, and for their children and great-grandchildren, not for the children of the IDP. So I'm saying, if you are going, Kenyatta is going to have a lot of thousands of land, leave his son, and leave his son, and the Ruto the same, he leave his son, his son. These people are going to reconcile to protect their property. They are not protecting their own people. They eat on behalf of their own people, as if their people have no teeth and stomach. They sleep on behalf of their people, and their people sleep hungry. And then they wanted them to endorse them to stay in power and collect signatures. It is these people make their people to act funny. Funny.
Can there be genuine reconciliation in Kenya without the sort of communal processes we've seen in Liberia, Sierra Leone, South Africa, and Rwanda? Kenya has not gone through that.
Kenya cannot go through that because the Kenya was structured different. The Kenya was aired from, you see, in Kenya was created European, Asians, or Indians, Arabs, and Africans last. That replacement we call Africanization to the top people don't want to go back to where they want to be, going back to be the Asians, the Arabs, and the Africans. They want to remain in that ratio class, which I'm calling inferior. And therefore, in those other countries, the social stratification did not work like Kenya, or even in Rwanda. The social stratification in Kenya is that a few, 10% or less, own 90% of all the wealth, and the rest of us, 90% own the rest. So I'm saying the stratification in Kenya cannot be removed. It will be always the dictators reconciling with other dictators.
Mutegi, is this the stratification we're seeing in the workplace? Because we seem to have this conflict, constant conflict between employers and employees, and it just seems as if it's the same sort of divide.
You know, there was a doctor strike at the paramedicals. Originally, the doctors, then paramedicals, the teachers. Now we have the Kenya Airports Authority. To me, the same stratification what Reverend Njoya is talking about is what is going on. How do you have a country where a doctor, a person who passed very well in school, who was top in the class, became a doctor, and he will end up earning 30,000 shillings, whereas the fellow who failed, maybe went to do some magendo, is earning 300,000. That is the dichotomy, that's the social stratification Njoya is talking about, needs to be sorted out. How do we have fellows working in strategic industry like airports, earning, they're saying 40,000 or 20,000, and those planes are carrying the core of our business, tourism, airports. We need to sort out this matter because our system seems to be disoriented. That, I think, where the problem is.
I think, of course, there is that, what Mutegi is saying, the injustice of the workplace. But also, there have to be mechanisms for addressing these injustices. Otherwise, you'll end up with a society in anarchy. People will protest, will demonstrate, will strike. But does the government have the mechanisms and the resources to allocate to these demands on short notice like this? So whereas these issues are real, I think people have seized the opportunity given to them by the new constitution, the freedom and the ability to protest under protection of the law, to move too fast. Perhaps with the time, we should be able to address these things rather than the rush that is causing national distress.
I think the whole thing is coming from Parliament. Parliament in Kenya is paid more than any other parliament in the world for doing the list of other parliaments in the world. And that dictates the structures of injustice and the stratification of creating the aristocracy and the oligarchy in Kenya are there in place. And I think you should also compare the salaries of Kenyan people who work at the top in medicine, in pilots and others with the structures of the rest in the world, so that Kenyans are not inordinately remunerated vis-a-vis the people underneath them. So I'm saying this kind of stratification makes even the workers to fight for more. Again, I want also to criticize them. They should be fighting, the workers, the teachers, the workers, they should be fighting for unemployed also, so that the industry recognizes that we fought for the new constitution so that we may have the jobless, the ladless, the unemployed to be incorporated and be made Kenyans. So they should not be unconscious or not aware that when they are fighting for the increment of salary, they should also be fighting for the jobless, the unemployed, the houseless, and the street boys and the street girls.
But there's no world, there's no country in the world where everybody's employed.
And I'm saying, but in America, 12% of unemployment is so high. In Kenya, it's over 50%. What do you compare? Why should we employ a few in a country which is there's so much wealth, and the wealth distribution is so much at the top and concentrated in the hands of a few?
So how do you distribute the wealth? How do you distribute the wealth?
One of the social equality. Employment in the world is one criteria of wealth distribution. And that's why in the Western world they fight. And all the scales for elections, even for Obama, is shown by how much unemployment there is. Because the best way to distribute wealth is education. Everybody is equipped by the society to be able to be employable.
Right.
If you are unemployed because you are not equipped, it is not you to blame. You are a victim of the society's failure to prepare you, to equip you, to serve that society. Kenya spends so much money in education, but it should also make that education equipping the people to be able to be productive, not to be job seekers, to be job creators, to be self-employed, and all that kind of thing. So I'm saying we have two failures: the market employment industry, and also the educational, the training industry, which does not produce people who are capable of being able to be productive. We have a lot of illiterate and productive graduates who have degrees.
There's some SMSs, quite a few of them are accusing you, in reference to the earlier part of our discussion, of inciting hatred through your calls for revolution. They say that you're inciting violence. You've just been talking about the workplace, asking workers to mobilize. How would you respond to that?
I am inciting hatred against the aristocracy, the oligarchy, if it continues to reconcile on consolidating their wealth against the people. So it's not that Jesus told us to hate sin. Whoever is afraid of sin is not my friend. So I'm saying these are not only sins, criminals, hooligans, culprits, they are exploiters, and therefore you don't want me to love them.
Given your experience in Kenya, as you were telling us earlier, you've been attacked 3 times because of your political views. What do you make of the claims at the weekend that there is a plot to assassinate the Prime Minister, Raila Odinga?
Those are the what you call, it is a misfortune to look for anything else to create, to whip support for Raila, and Raila has rejected that. I think the sycophants for Raila have gone too far to be sycophants. And you know, sycophants is a very dangerous game. It's a sin also to be creating red herrings, smoke screens, to whip support for someone who is already supported. The Garo polls, the opinion polls are showing right ahead. Why do you want to make him look like a victim?
David, do you agree that it's sycophancy, given that this country does have a history of political assassinations?
Well, I think it is, in a way, I agree with Njoya. The manner in which Midiwo made that announcement, given the political situation we are in now, the political competition and the attempts to stop Raila by all means by his opponents from ascending to the presidency. A statement like that at this point in time was definitely going to excite more passion among his supporters and tension for people to imagine the worst can happen that could interfere with the due process of our elections.
What do you make of the fact that when Midiwo went to record a statement yesterday,
yes,
he was with a host of ODM supporters, including some intelligent people whom you don't expect? Why do you think they went to the CID headquarters to...
I think the whole point is political mobilization for solidarity, but I would not give much credence to the claims that that Jacob made in the manner he made them, because
I would want to imagine that those fellows went there because they believe in what he said.
Not necessarily. Politicians are politicians. They rally around something even when it's totally against public interest, even when it's false, because they have to back each other and stand behind each other. It does not say much about the credibility of those claims. And that's why I'm saying such a statement in our political environment right now is obviously reckless, because he could have communicated it better, and he's a government official, chief whip. He has many mechanisms for doing that.
So when Mrs. Ida Odinga requests for additional security for her husband, you don't think
Again, that is just playing to the public gallery, because following up on what I've said, the credibility of those claims is in doubt. Mrs. Ida Odinga is following up to, what Raila may not say, Ida will say.
Yeah, can be seen by...
So, it's basically some... making political capital, so to speak, out of this scenario.
We're out of time. Thank you very much for joining us. That's all for Cheche this week. My thanks to Mutegi Njau and David Makali and the Reverend Timothy Njoya, who's recovering from prostate surgery. Do let us know who you'd like to see on the program and what questions you'd like them to answer. Thank you for tuning in and sharing your thoughts with us. I'm Udoaka Mimo.